Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to Inspire Greatness, the space where growth takes center stage. I am your host, Demi, and I am beyond thrilled to have you join me on this journey. Whether you're a returning listener or it's your first time here, I want you to know that this is more than just a show or a membership. It's a community, a sanctuary for growth, and a place where we dive deep into the essence of what makes us truly human. Let's go. Welcome back, Nathalie. It's good to have you here. The last time we spoke, we started the conversation, which was about reflecting into the new year, and then also how to set or reflect and set new goals for the next year. So I guess we both agree this is going to be like a continuous conversation, more into how to now create habits out of what we reflected on, and also understand how we can use the sense of our bodies to remember those moments. And I'm just very quickly going to touch base on, I'm still in love with the idea of having a success book. Yeah, that really stuck with me.
Yeah, it's a good one to track yourself.
It is.
Because we tend to forget.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also to track habits.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at some point, the new routines will be normal. And then you might don't remember where you started. And this is such a good idea. And I love that you also brought in the idea of what would you say in the end of the year if you have your conversation with your boss and he asks you, what did you contribute to the year within your work expertise? And you felt like you did a lot, but then when the question comes up, you can barely answer.
Yeah. And you only remember what I did the last 2-3 weeks.
Yes.
And it's been 52 of them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. So I guess let's start there. Maybe you can share again in your own words, like, why does this happen? Why do we tend to forget what we experienced? And why do we remember the bad things that happened over the good things to navigate through?
So the way that the brain works is we tend to remember the beginning and the end. And everything in between is a little bit like a blur. Same thing when you read something, you usually remember the introduction and you remember the finishing. Or same thing with the movie. So just knowing that is the way that we sort out information. We forget kind of everything in the middle. So help yourself to track what actually is going on by that success book, the success tracker. In terms of remembering bad over what's good, it depends on the emotion. And fear basically spikes all emotions in your body. So you get a lot of adrenaline, you get cortisol, you focus a lot. So it's like a big alarm in your system. Your fight and flight kicks in. And it also helps you to focus in order to escape the danger. So those moments tend to become a big player in our emotional life. And our body remembers emotion, and we can also get addicted to our own emotions. So say, for example, that when you grew up or over a longer period of time, you have had your fight and flight spiked a lot, those adrenaline and cortisol, the stress hormones being released in your body. The way that the body works is as soon as we are thinking a thought, and the thought comes from whatever we are paying attention to, right? So we think a thought that sends a signal to the body to release a certain set of chemicals. Then the body is now feeling the same way as I'm thinking, so send another signal back to the brain saying continue. So I think a similar thought. Send another signal to the body, intensifying the feeling, send another signal back to the brain. And now we have this thought, feeling, feedback loop. So either we go down the rabbit hole or we go up. So, which is also the reason why the better it gets, or the worse it gets, the worse it gets. And the fight and flight feelings, the stress hormones, are, like I said, intense feelings. And those are the ones that we can become addicted to. So even if it's uncomfortable, it can become familiar. And the brain loves familiarity because it feels like I know how to survive in these circumstances. So even if you say that you were in a relationship that you were fighting a lot, and all of a sudden you're in a relationship that is calm, your body is not used to not being spiked. So now you are triggering the other person to get those hits of adrenaline and cortisone, because those is familiar in your body. Very crazy how the body works. You can get addicted to your own emotions.
Yeah, I guess I'd never looked at it this way, but wow, yeah. And it's very true. Like sometimes you feel very uncomfortable, although it's nice and quiet and everything is good, and then we look for something.
Yeah, we wait for the next shoe to drop.
Yeah. And then that is like, okay, now we're in there.
Yeah. And then you get to be right. See, I knew this was not going to last forever.
Yes.
I knew that something bad was going to happen. And our brain loves to be right because that is instant gratification, even though we are being right over something that we don't want to be right about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we quickly touch base on the ego and the brain? Because when you said the brain wants to be right,
that's the ego.
That's the ego, right? That's the ego that wants to have that, yes, you got it, you're in control, you said how it's going to work. There is some sort of good and bad egos.
You can say, I usually call it your inner being, which is pure positive and pure liquid love. And that is the bigger part of you.
Okay.
And then we have another part of you, which we can call the ego, which is more interested in being right. So your inner being only want to feel good. Your ego wants to be right and thinks that being right feels good.
And sends back the feedback to we're feeling good.
Yes, it kind of like it goes for instant gratification, meaning when I get to be right, I get to feel successful. And remember, the brain or the ego thinks that being successful means I'm going to have the support from the group. Yeah. However, when we argue about just being right, we tend to stand alone at one point.
Yes.
So this is actually a false belief that successful people are the one that get the protection from the group.
That is so interesting.
It's fascinating how the brain works. Yeah.
And especially with the feedback loop, that the brain is actually always trying to get us back to a safety zone.
Yeah.
And the safety zone is just what it has known so far. Doesn't mean that a new thing cannot become a safety zone, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
But it's just, it hasn't, like it just know what it knows until now. Is the ego filled with what we experienced until this day? Or would you say it also is filled with experiences that we maybe see in others or parents and everything that we experience there?
Yes, so obviously your programming is based on past experience. So everything that you have seen, heard, read, observed, right? And if what you have been observing in your life has been from a negative standpoint, which has spiked your fight and flight, spiked your stress signals, again, that becomes your, like a thermostat. That is kind of like your base. That is what feels at home. Even if it's not something that feels good, it just feels familiar. So you're constantly seeking that thermostat, that balance. So the question is also like, even though this has been the way up until now, is this how I would like to continue living life? So meeting yourself where you are without judgment as right or wrong, like it has been the right strategy because it took you here. And it's not your parents' fault or your fault that you're here, but it is your responsibility to ask yourself the question, is this how I would like to continue living? And if the answer is no, then how can I try a different way? And also understanding when I try a different way, so say that I now decide to think positively. So I send a positive signal to my body because my body is so used to being spiked. The body basically has become the brain, and the body send a different signal back to the brain saying, don't try to trick me. I still would like to have my dose of fear. So then the body sends a signal back to the brain saying, think the regular thoughts. And you're like, no, I try new programming here. I'm going to be positive now. I'm on a new track. And the body's like, absolutely no. We need the spike. We need you not feeling well because that is what we are used to. So that's like, it kind of like go against your new programming. And this is to be expected whenever we are trying to form a new habit. Nothing has gone wrong. But usually what happens is that people give up the moment when the body sends the negative signal back to the brain, not knowing that they are about to break through. They just need to continue with the new programming. Yeah. But instead we kind of like give in and give up, and then we get to be right again. This was just not for me.
That is another point you touched with, when the body is actually starting, like once it's your brain that sends a signal, but when the body takes over the brain, that's when it gets really challenging.
Yeah.
Because your body now is sending all the signals back to the head, back to the brain. And then you have like this loop of you have to be very aware of what you think.
Yeah.
Otherwise it will be probably subconscious that your body just...
Yeah. And a craving, say that you have decided to not drink alcohol or not eat sweets, and your body like just crave whatever it is that you are depriving it from. Knowing that craving will be there and it will be strong at one point, but a craving is just a craving, it's just a feeling. You are the one who get to decide if you want to act on it or not. And that is where the smart part of the brain comes in, right? Knowing that it's just a vibration in my body, created from my body, that's okay. I don't need to act on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we get another example on building habits and when your body starts to kind of like overtake the position of the brain? And like, or what is the point when this happens? Because we get into habits, probably like we all drive on autopilot. Like we know how to drive, or you know how to like, just that is so like, you just don't think about it.
Yeah.
And I've read about that because I actually once wanted to like test this. And once I started to think, what do I have to do? That was the worst 2 minutes I had in my car. Because like my brain was just like, why are we thinking now? Obviously, like we know what to do, relax. Because my legs were just like, where is like, what do we do here? What happens when this, when we are in this situation where it gets so into our routines that we don't have to do it conscious anymore? What if you want to change one of these habits that are so deeply rooted?
Beautiful. I think first and foremost, a lot of people are using willpower in order to change, and willpower only give you fuel for so long. And at the moment that willpower runs out and the body is then sending that signal, that is when we give up. So rather than thinking that I need to use effort in order to make a change, can I use inspiration? So motivation and inspiration for me are two separate things. Motivation is I need to motivate myself to do this thing that I don't really want to do. Inspiration is I cannot wait. So I have to versus I really want to. Inspiration is a pull towards the result that I want to create. Motivation is a push against what I don't want. I don't want to be seen as a failure. I don't want to gain weight or whatever it is. Pushing against is always super hard. And it's going to burn you from like two ends. It's kind of like pushing uphill a heavy weight, while inspiration is being downhill with the wind in your back. It re-energizes you. Like you really want to be there. So first and foremost, you want to connect with what is your desired outcome, not what you're moving away from, but what you would like to move towards. So connecting there, and then finding the feeling that you think that you will have once the result is done. So everything that we ever want in life is because of a feeling. We think that we're going to feel better in the having of it. Successful, more tone, loved, seen, appreciated. It's always a feeling that is driving us. So if you can connect with that feeling already now during the journey and find thoughts that generates this feeling now, you can use this feeling as a fuel. So rather than using willpower as the fuel, you use the feeling as the fuel.
Yeah. That's it's a very nice approach on using the feeling instead of willpower, because like as it always already says, the word is like will over power. Like it's, you have to use power when actually when you use inspiration, that just like feels
you allow
easy.
it to happen.
Yeah.
You allow it to happen.
Yeah.
You're going with the stream.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love that you kind of separate those two with going towards something like
or away from.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Because like sometimes it's very hard when we create new habits and we have like those quotes around us, which are maybe not very supportive. But some of them are very true. And for example, motivation is not always going to be there. And that's the reason probably why, because you push away from something. But instead of thinking of the feeling like you're going to have, you always think of what you don't want. That's why you move away. And when it gets really, really tiring, you might just be like, you know what, I can't anymore. But just because you never saw the end in mind, you were always like, I want to go away from it.
Yeah, and you know, I think about it sometimes like an elephant and the trainer. So the trainer is your smart part of the brain, and the elephant is the emotional part of the brain, or the gut, you can also say. You can use willpower to pull the elephant in one direction. But the moment when your muscles are tired and you let go, the elephant will just walk wherever you used to walk. Or you can train the elephant in switching direction, and then the elephant will just continue walking there. So using your smart part of the brain to train the lower part of the brain so that the new program become the basic program. So you really want to, steer. We're now going to pivot into this direction, not away from, but towards.
And again, towards this feeling, not towards this or only this goal you have in mind. Think of how it's going to make you feel.
Yeah, and you know, the beautiful thing is that we use result or goals as an excuse to feel. But you always want the feeling. But we think we need the result to get the feeling. I need to have the money to feel secure. But really what I want is the secure feeling. And if I haven't felt the feeling during the journey, when I get the money, I will still not be secure, because now I didn't feel secure, so now I need more. And then I'm still not secure, so now I need more. And then I'm also more insecure now because the money has still not given me the secureness. So it's always the feeling. And I find this very interesting because when we are measuring our success, we tend to look at the action or the physical outcome, and we forget about the only thing that we ever wanted, which was the feeling. So isn't it more accurate to say my success is based on how I feel in this moment? If I'm feeling good, if I'm feeling prosperous, if I'm feeling inspired, I'm successful.
Yeah.
And then I'm also more likely to do more and do more and do more. And it's not about not creating the result at all, but the result comes after the feeling.
Oh, that's a lovely one.
Yeah.
That means, in other words, that when creating new habits, we should focus on the feeling whilst creating the habit and not waiting for it until we have the result.
Yeah, I mean, you can hate yourself into a good body, but you will not feel at home in your body. It would be a hard journey. But, and this is what a lot of people are doing. They hate their journey so much. And when they get to the end result, they're exhausted. And that's when they usually either fall back because they're just so tired of hating themselves into more money or like a better body. And they miss the whole point. Yeah. Because what they wanted was the feeling, and they used the end result as an excuse to feel the feeling. But the end result that they got was just a replicate of the result that they thought that they wanted, because it was the number on the scale or the number on the bank account. But what they really wanted was the internal feeling.
Wow.
So crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's how we probably learned it. Like, you have to understand where you want to go. And then, yes, once you have that, you are going to be that. And it's like the have be instead of be in order to have. It's like, be that first person first. Feel like this person first. And then it will automatically follow because you're already feeling to be this person.
Yeah. And, we all have a perfect mentor in our life that a lot of us don't utilize, and it's your future self. The person who already have achieved the result that you want to achieve. And you can, ask her for any advice anytime you want. She already know everything that you have done, everything that was needed in order to create this result, if you just consult with her. And that is a free consultation. And that is a person who knows everything that you have done in the past, who knows everything about your desire in the future. So how can I speak more with her, connect more with her, and be more her? Take decision as she takes decision, show up in the way that she show up. And when I am her, my result is just a given.
Yes. I want to quickly touch base on that because that is something I personally have struggled with. And I would love to have your opinion on it. So the future self is the one who is where you want to go, right? It already has achieved it. Now, I also learned that, especially in the entrepreneurial way, a lot of it is not going the way you planned it. A lot of setbacks. So you always have to remind yourself of, okay, well, this is where I'm going to be. This is the person, this is the life. That's where vision boards come in place. But then sometimes in this journey, I felt like I'm faking it. Because when they said you have to be this person, I'm like, I can be this person as characteristics. I can show up, I can be authentic, but I don't have the things that this person has. And then there's I would say a crucial moment of behaving like someone, but you're actually spending money but you don't have enough. But because you thought my future self, I'm not gonna have these struggles then. So there's this slight moment of I felt how do I be myself now without not reminding myself on who I'm going to be or who I admire and who I am, because I'm complete on this journey. You understand what I mean? And that was very hard for me because sometimes I felt like I was faking it.
Beautiful. And thank you so much for bringing this up. I think that this is where a lot of people get a bit stuck. And like I said, they think fake it till you make it. I would say no. And it's not about thinking about the result. It comes back to exactly what we were speaking about, the goal setting. Do I need a result in order to feel, or can I feel first in order to create the result? So my future self, rather than asking what are the results that she's creating, how does she feel? Okay, she have clarity, she have knowledge, she have confidence in herself, she feel calm, she feel trust that everything is unfolding perfectly on time, nothing is off schedule, everything is happening for me. It's value even to take 2 steps back, just like a bow and arrow. When you pull it back and then you release, the arrow go quickly forward. So what looks like a setback today, my future self know was a beautiful learning. So how can I connect with that trust that everything is happening for me?
Yes. So you would say when thinking of your future self, it's more about thinking how this future self feels again, and not behave in a way it behaves, only because the behavioral is probably different than you behave today.
Yeah.
Because circumstances are different, especially when it comes to money.
Mm-hmm.
That person has more than enough yet. If you don't have this now, that's always my clients ask me back. It's like, but I don't have it now. Like I can't be that person now.
So we focus a lot on action, and it's a very action-oriented world. And remember, we spoke about required action, motivation, and inspired action being pulled towards. And it's not about not taking action, but it's about understanding what's fueling your action, which is a feeling. So it's about how can I align and finding existing matches with the feeling that I think that my action will produce, the result will produce. Okay, so spending a lot of money, I think that I will feel prosperous and rich and freedom when I have it. And right now, if I spend it, I feel desperate and just out of control and scarcity, if I don't have it. So I know that if that is how I'm feeling, I'm not fueling my action with a feeling that would generate the result that I want. Okay, so say that I don't have the money right now, but I want to feel prosperous. I want to feel that abundance. Where in my life can I find abundance? What are the existing matches today? Maybe I have abundance and richness in the connection I have with people, in nature around me, in the air that I surround myself with. It's an abundance. How can I connect with that feeling so that I train my body to respond to that feeling, and then I get more of it? And it sounds like a very small shift, and that it doesn't produce money if I go out and appreciate nature or if I appreciate connection. But like attracts like. And the more that you start to feel prosperous in your life, the more that become your tone setter. And from there, you will be inspired to take action that will create more prosperity in your life. Maybe you come up with a new concept. Maybe you start, working on an idea with work, whatever it is. Maybe you meet someone. Like attracts like. So it's really how would I like to feel, and how can I fuel my action with the feeling that I would like to create more of.
Yeah, that's a beautiful aspect of just a little bit digging away from that external things that this future self has, and go back to what we talked about last time, the feeling, and just feel like this future self feels, and you're automatically probably gonna act like it's gonna act. And then, I mean, as we know, like once you be in this person, the everything else will just follows, because it's about the be. It's not about the, this sentence of have, like do be, like those three. And then when you switch them around, when you become that person first, do what it does, you have what it does.
Well, it's kind of
Or-
like putting the horse in front of the cart. So the horse, the one that is pulling us, the one that is fueling our action,
Yeah.
is the feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what we tend to do is we put the cart in front of the horse because we think that it's the result that creates the feeling. So I want to observe and then have an emotional response. And that's where it gets very hard because the cart cannot pull the horse. The money cannot generate prosperous. Yeah, but the prosperous feeling can generate money. It will not happen in this red hot minute, but the more you practice feeling prosperous, the more your brain think in those terms, the more creative ideas you will have, the more you rendezvous with other people that speaks about money or new opportunities, or so like finding the horse first, the feeling, and then let that carry the result instead of the result bringing the feeling.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I guess it's a good, sometimes good to kind of visualize like what we talk about, because it can get very technical, I could say. Yeah. So let's go back quickly to forming new habits. And there's a study, and I wrote it down because I guess that's going to be very interesting for some of the listeners. Because I don't know, we got all of these terms on how long does it take to form a habit, right? And then we start this journey of, let's say, gym. You want to have a better body, or you have a very clear outline how your body should look like. And then because we have these terms, you're like, okay, I'll try it now. And then on this way, you might fail once or twice. You're with the consistency. Or after those 20, 30 days, you have not gotten the result. And then you also decide to maybe not continue. And so there's this study from this health psychologist, Philippa Lawley. She's from London University. And her study was to find out how long does it take to build a new habit. And it actually came out that on average, it takes more than 2 months before a new behavior comes in automatic. To be exact, 66 days. So, but to build a new habit, it's anywhere from 18 to 254 days. So that's almost a year to actually build it. The behavior comes first, but then build the habit and the routine that's like just stays with you. It can take almost a year. And I was reading that and I was like, yeah, I also thought it's like a month. That's what I knew. So do it for a month consistently and then you're fine. So reading this, I was like, oh, that's quite long. And that's what she continues with saying, yeah, it's quite long. But the study also shows that by missing 1 or 2 times, it would not affect the result in the end. And that was, I feel guilty because I probably have this on both professional and personal side. But when I decide I want to create a new habit, I was very strict on myself. And the study also said, like, you should not judge yourself just because this will happen. You probably will fall off plan because life happens. And whenever I fell off my plan, I felt like I have to start again, which is very exhausting. If I think of it can take up in a year, then I'm never going to end this. If I always feel like I have to start again to build this new habit. And I was just like, okay, well, if we don't get to do it in a row, we do miss out a few times, but we can still create it. Still knowing that it takes time and you cannot measure it just because someone else had 20 days. You have 20 days. Could we have a conversation about, first of all, how to handle building new habits. And I mean, we always refer to someone, right? Someone that will be the inspiration. That's why we also said last time, it's better if you go for it instead of thinking, but if I go for it, someone has less. It's about go for it and then tear them with you. So if someone had like 25 days and I have 5 months and I still don't see any results, what could be the reason, one, and how can I manage my emotions there? Because at some point, if I look up at someone and compare myself, it will happen probably. I start to downgrade my skills and abilities, and maybe it's like 1 day more or like 2 days more, and you would feel the sense of completion. How can we form new habits without getting lost on the journey?
There are so many things that I want to say here. The first one, there is plenty of different studies. Some says 66 days, some says 88 days. There is no one right rule. First time you used Uber, how many days did it take you to get to that habit? Did you ever go back afterwards?
No.
No. It took one day. And it's because the reward was so great. So it's not about the action or the number of days. It's again about the feeling.
Oh.
And the moment when you feel impatient, I haven't yet gotten the result that I thought that I was going to have. You're measuring the success based on the result. You're putting the cart in front of the horse. And you think that the result can generate the feeling, and because the result is not there, I cannot have the feeling. So now I'm fueling my action with impatientness and negative feeling. And now I'm feeling demotivated, and now I'm even more likely to not have a powerful result. So how can I separate my life situation, which is the details of life, including my result, how my body looked, that is a life situation, which is time bound on this date, I weighed this much, with my emotional life, which is how I feel now, and now. Emotional life is your interpretation of your life situation, your body. When you understand that those two are two separate things, and you're able to feel good no matter what's going on with your life situation, that is when you have solved the puzzle. When I can unconditionally feel in a certain way, I can fuel my tank with appreciation, love, inspiration, confidence, knowing that everything is well, and put my horse in front of the cart, and I can create a powerful result. And I don't care if it takes 1 week, 1 year, 2 years, because I have fun. It feels good when I do. I cannot wait to do it. I'm not in there to see the result. The result is just a natural next step because I'm having so much fun in the journey.
So it goes back to feeling the joy on the journey whilst creating new habits.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And remember that everything that you want in life is because you think you will feel better in the having of it. How about just feeling better? And then you will have it. Because you have joy in the journey. You don't mind to go to the gym. In fact, you love going to the gym. You love the feeling of taking care of your body. You love the feeling of working and getting money. You love the feeling of creating new ideas. You love the feeling of expansion.
Yes. So again, let's take the habit of the gym, because I think there's, like, when you say that, when you say like have joy, I can bring in one of my personal stories again to kind of like why I want to talk about the gym, because beginning of the year, a lot of people feel like I want to now take care of my body, right? And then they probably sign up for a gym and they start going, or not, because probably it wasn't their thing for the whole life. And And that was me included. I didn't sign up by the beginning of the year, but like in October. But I didn't have like a goal in mind with how I'm going to feel. In fact, I actually signed up because of the sauna, not of the gym, because I had like my sports in the boxing studio. So it was like, I'm not looking for feeling better because that feeling I get in my boxing studio. And I actually said it in the beginning to this coach. I was like, well, I don't really like to go to the gym, to be very honest. I'm here for the sauna during the winter. That's why I kind of like signed up. But he was like, well, yeah, I mean, now you're here, we can set up a plan. And then somehow that plan was like, well, now I have a plan to go 4 times. And it's actually cool because we can train like specific parts of my body, which I can't really do, like focus on them that much in the boxing studio. And in the beginning, I was still feeling like sometimes, especially when he wasn't there, because alone, I sometimes in the beginning I didn't know where the stuff was, didn't understand the gym. It's exactly what you feel when you're in a new environment. My brain was just like you're ridiculous because you don't even know how that thing works. I couldn't reach it because I'm too short. Like all of that thing, that was just like not having fun all the time. But then within time, and that's like weird to say now because I didn't think that this is going to happen, I start to like the gym.
Beautiful.
Yes. And I actually go there because it makes me feel good. Now I have this feeling of feeling good. And I think even if I would have like a goal for my body, I would not be there after like 3 months. Like that thing would have not been in a result. But the feeling is now more important. So I don't really mind where my body goes in this moment just because I feel good. That's exactly probably what you're referring to.
Yes. And, sometimes required action can lead to inspired action. So in order for you to be inspired to feel good at the gym, it's required for you to do a few reps, right?
Yes.
And to exercise a few of your muscles. And when they are in a certain position, it's of course easier to be inspired to feel good and then following that inspiration. So I'm not against taking action at all, but knowing what an inspired action feel like and what a required action feel like. One is effortful, kind of forcing yourself, needing motivation to go. And that's okay in the beginning. Just know that it's not going to be there forever, which is the reason why it's so important to connect with the good feeling that can pull you in the direction of inspiration.
To think back of how does it make me feel?
Yeah. And how would I like to feel?
How would I like to feel?
Yeah. And where in my gym session do I feel this? Or what can I do in order to feel this? And rather than just saying it's only the gym that can lead to a good body. Maybe you can dance, maybe you can be in nature, maybe you can meet someone and go swimming. Like there is an abundance of opportunities. But usually whenever we are like pushing away from, we get very like silo focused on one thing and thinking it's only like the gym and I hate going to the gym, so I need to motivate myself to go there. When really like there are so many different things that you can do.
I just wanted to say that because yes, when you say it's about this feeling and all we think of, that's like the gym, that's like the New Year thing. But maybe gym is not something that lights you up. So why do you try to push yourself through something that truly doesn't light you up? Because it's gonna feel hard and harder because you don't have this sense of like the feeling. It's always gonna be, you have to motivate yourself to go there. Eventually you quit going there. But instead of the gym, you could do so many other sports. Is that something sometimes we try set goals when looking at what others do again? Maybe also social media, because we see them going to the gym. So you kind of refer of to like get fit, I have to go to the gym.
Yeah.
When there's like 1,000 other ways to do it.
Yeah. And it's also coming to what we were talking about, what the brain remember, beginning and the end. It's just what we are constantly being fed. Like I said, you go to the gym, you go to the gym, you go to the gym. If you want to have a good body, you go to the gym. when really there are so many different aspects, like stressing less, you get a better body. Why? Because you actually connect with your digestive system when you're in rest. So all of a sudden you can digest the food that you eat better. Who knew? By stressing less, I actually get a better body. Interesting. Has nothing to do with just the gym. Like there is so many different things. Also like sleeping better, trusting me, having access to higher thinking. Obviously nurturing my body with something that feels good for me, not just instant gratification of sugar and whatever it can be. Like there is, and this is again like studying yourself rather than taking advice for someone else, because what feels good for someone else and what is the right path for them may not feel good for you or be the right path for you. So we think in life that there is a one right way of living, and it's an action-oriented way, when really it's not about the action they take, it's about how you feel inside, because when you feel good, you will be inspired to act. You will be inspired to dance. You will be inspired to move your body. You will be inspired to eat better. When you don't feel so good, all you want to do is hide under the blanket with ice cream in front of Netflix. It's about feeling good, going out, trusting you, being confident.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Of like finding your own feeling good instead of what maybe society tells us is the feeling good.
Yeah, it's the one right way. Like the one right way is the one that feels good.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can we give our listeners some practical tips on, they probably be in the position of they have where they want to go, what they want to feel, and now it's about putting an action plan to it. That means changing what you do daily and sort of to get a new outcome, right?
Yeah.
What would you give like a practical tip that you would say had always helped you to build a new habit? You can name an area if you want to, or just in general, if you can be general.
So in terms of habits, keeping them small, they call them SSS, like super, now I can't even remember it, but doesn't matter. Like ridiculously small. Yeah. Keep it simple. Something that you can...
Simple, stupid.
Yeah, we're keeping it like kiss now. Keep it
Stupid, simple.
Yeah, exactly. In any event, you want to have it as simple as possible, ideally under 2 minutes. I call them life hacks. And I have this exercise that I do when I brush my teeth. Meaning you have 2.5 minutes in the morning and you have 2.5 minutes in the evening. You can do it both. You can do it either. You always get 2 chances each day without adding extra time. So what I do is I stand on one leg and I lift the other to the side. And it exercises your thighs, your bum, your core, get a slender waist, everything that you want. Also your balance. So I do 30 seconds per side and then 30 seconds forward and 30 seconds backward. And it's such a quick and easy way, but it transformed my mind because now I'm thinking it's easy to take care of my body. It takes no time to take care of my body. It's just something that I do, and I can even do it simultaneously as I do another habit. So I also lock it in. So as soon as I pick up my toothbrush, that is my cue to lift my leg. So that one is an easy one. I also think a lot about how can I help future self. So for example, I eat berries and yogurt in the morning. And they are frozen, so I take them up the night before. And that taking it up the night before is now just something that I do. And I have been doing it for the last 1.5 years. And it's very like much a habit. And I feel so blessed in the morning because my past self thought about me. So it also creates like self-trust, self-love, appreciation, being seen, being acknowledged. Same thing, I fill up the water kettle the night before. And in the morning, it might take 30 seconds to fill it up, but I feel it is a gift for me. I just press the button and it's done. So things that you can do for future self. So having future self in mind and do it out of self-love, self-appreciation. Keep it super tiny, super small. Also for me, whenever I work out in the morning, I always put my clothes out the night before. Again, a gift I give to myself. So in the morning, it's smooth, it's easy. Because I know in the morning, all I want to do is like have more time. And if I can like remove those 30 seconds here, 1 minute there, 2 minutes there, already the night before, I start my day off on the right foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And it's nice that you mentioned the cue, because I was reading Atomic Habits, and I mean, it's a whole book, so if anybody wants to listen to it, it's a whole book about how to build habits. But they also talk about the cue and the reward, and of connecting a new habit to an old one, because it's easier to remember it when you connect it to something that you anyways do. Instead of trying to do something in the middle of the day without having like a cue that automatically then triggers the new action actually. Do you also work with rewards, or is it for you more, I work with a cue, so I give a cue to the next action step and that's how you work forward?
Yes, but my reward is the feeling that I have. And my reward is my hand, the yes, this is my reward.
The sensation again.
Yes, the dopamine spike that I get. Because I strongly believe whenever you use an external reward to, again, create an internal feeling, then you just build a stronger dependency on something external. And then your dopamine receptors, again, they get less sensitive. So next time you need a bigger reward and a bigger reward and a bigger reward. So if you were happy with a coffee as a reward, then now you need a coffee and a snack. And then you need a lunch and then you need a dinner and then you need to invite a friend. You know, it's just...
I never thought of that. Yes.
Yeah. Because your brain is, I mean, it's smart.
So smart.
It's smart. Now we have been doing it for 3 months. Come on. 11 more. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's actually true.
Yeah.
It's again the more.
Yes.
It's not enough anymore.
No. And again, it's a beautiful thing that we want more, but learning how to generate the feeling inside and letting the feeling, the fun during the journey be the reward. Again, like in the morning when I fill up the water kettle the night before, the reward is how I feel in the morning. Wow, thank you, me, for thinking about me.
Yes.
Thank you, me, for prioritizing me. Thank you, me, for seeing me. Beautiful.
It's also a reward.
Yes.
Of like, I've done that and the next thing is already prepared. It's like someone thought of preparing my breakfast. It was you doing it for yourself. But yeah, you feel of like, it's already here. It's ready.
Yeah. Or equal, like, say you go to the gym. Can the reward were, yes, I went, and like really celebrating that I am on my path. I'm taking step towards my path. Go me. This is my reward. The go me. The afterward. The feeling that I'm having right now. I'm taking step towards where I want to go.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Is the sensation, does it as well happen? Because I used to do that, but that was more for professional side. When I worked in sales, I had to do like the sales calls and I didn't like to do them. So I had like a paper and I made like little crosses, and it was like empty, but I had to like, I think it was not a cross, I think it was like a check I did. So the reward was in the end of the day. I almost ran to the paper because it was hanging on a wall, and I was like, I had like 5 or 10 or 20 calls, and when it was full for the day, I always had like how many I want to do the day. That feeling of like ticking off gave me a feeling of you did it. Is that the same feeling you get from like yes?
Yes and no. It comes back to using something external.
Okay.
But the brain loves the check that gives dopamine spikes.
That's why.
Yes, and we love completion. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So like seeing how the charge fill in is kind of like a way to trick your brain. I'm not saying that is wrong. However, again, your brain will only be satisfied with the checks for so long. Like then it's going to ask for more. Then it will like to have the gold stars, and then learning how to create the feeling, however that is inside of you, with something internal rather than something external. Yeah,
that's beautiful. Yeah, it's good to remember that. Yeah, that's like there's a small.
I know. Yeah, fine line.
Yes, of being with yourself and internal success, or still going after the external thing.
Yeah,
very, very nice. Shall we wrap it up?
Let's do it.
So, let's go back to the brain. So we learned how the brain works. Do you want to give like a final sentence on how the brain works, like in one or two sentences? Why do we feel the emotions? The feedback loop, what happens there?
Yes. So our thoughts create our feelings.
Okay.
Yeah. Our feelings then send a signal back to the brain to think a similar thought. Like attracts like. You send another signal to your body, intensify the feeling, and now you are off, starting that momentum. And the more momentum you're getting something, the stronger, the more intense it becomes. The most powerful tip that I would give is in the morning, momentum subside. When you sleep, you're basically starting somewhat of a fresh in the morning before you remember all the problems you had yesterday. So how can I intentionally start this thought feedback loop in a new positive way? How can I direct my focus on something that feels good when I'm thinking this thought? Oh, I can't wait to see how I'll figure this one out. This will be fun. I'm curious to learn that. I'm really good at what I'm doing. And start creating those positive feelings so that you start to become the tone setter in your body, instead of going out and just by default observing what's going on and then having a knee-jerk reaction. So being the one who creates the feeling, because that creates the filter that you're interpreting the world from. So if you're feeling really high on your positive emotion, you're interpreting the world as everything is happening to me. It's easier to see there versus if you're just going out and something quote unquote negative is happening and you have a knee-jerk response that spikes your fight and flight, now you start to filter everything as a threat.
Yeah. So so that momentum can go both ways. It can go positive and negative. And whenever we're in this spiral of either downwards or upwards, that we know we can always break it by actively sending thoughts that we actually want and not get trapped by the loop that's happening. A lot of unconscious thoughts probably go through it. By understanding once I'm in this spiral, I can decide to stop the spiral and send the thoughts I actually want to think.
You can, however, it's kind of like a train with two engines. If you have a train going 100 kilometers an hour in the negative direction, you don't want it to go 100 miles or 100 kilometers an hour in the positive direction. That's going to be physically very uncomfortable to like change the speed to 100, right? So what you want to do, you want to slow the speed down from the negative direction and then start going in the positive direction. Because when you're like in the rut, you don't even have access to positive thinking. That's going to be fake it till you make it. So what you want to do is you want to take a step back, and you also remember that there is a day tomorrow. So if today is not the day, that's okay. You're going to sleep, and then you're going to, forget about your problem for a few hours. When you wake up, you can start momentum in the way that you like. So that's always an option. However, if you manage to catch it as early as possible, because you have that feeling, that is your inner guiding system, right? So the moment when you feel, that did not really feel well, before the loop starts too much, can you catch it and pivot, intention direct it to wherever you want to go. And if it doesn't feel good, go high level. Okay, so if we speak about money rather than, thinking about I have to find out like how to make money. Money is all around. I really like, the feeling of prosperity. I like money coming in and out. I like the fact that I'm engaging with a company that, are paying me something. Whatever it is, like go general. Whenever it feels good, go specific. The more specific you go, the faster the momentum will go. The more general you go, the more you will slow it down. And if it's negative, you want to slow it down. If it's positive, you want to speed it up. So if it's positive, go focus. If it's negative, go general.
That's great to remember. Whenever we're in a feedback loop, if we can't get out, remember there's another day, another chance. Don't get caught up in this one day. But if you can catch it before it starts, then try to work with that feeling. And whenever you're in the loop, try to bring in some calmness and go more general, because it will fade like the specific problems.
Yeah.
It will just feel more general. And whenever it feels good, momentum arise, we can go more specific. I love that. That's very cool. Good. I hope that really helped to kind of like sum up how the brain works with our body. Now, when it comes to the habits, you already gave one of those tips with the cue. What would you say, or what tip can you give to listeners when they have their goals in mind and their feelings, like they have everything set up, now they plan on actions? What is something to remember when starting those actions? Because you might were actually going for something that doesn't give you joy. Is it okay to kind of like step back and decide I'm going to do a different action? Like, what can you give them as a tip when they have an action plan, but they realize the good feeling is not arriving?
Yeah. And I think, of course, we all want to feel inspired all the time. But if you have not been taking any action, say that we're speaking about your body or your money, if neither of them has been part of what you have done before, you're going to feel uncomfortable and you're going to feel unsure and you're going to be confused and not confidence. And neither of them are a positive feeling, and that is okay. I am where I am, and that is okay. Yeah. So I meet myself where I am. And then I also realized that actions will be required in order for change to take place. What I want to do is I want to have a goal that is exciting to me, but not overwhelming. And can I make a 3-year plan rather than a 1-year plan? Because a 3-year plan gives me a bit more time, that basically put the brain to rest a little bit, because it feels a little bit further away. Doesn't mean that I don't start today, but I will break it down in smaller steps, in milestones, right? And right now I will start super small, because when I start small, it's not about what I'm doing, it's about the consistency that I built. It's literally just putting up on my shoes and I go out. I don't even need to run, but I start with putting on my shoes and I go. I put on my shoes and I go. Why? Because when I go out, I am more likely to get inspired to run than when I'm at home inside. And then when I'm there, my next step, once I have built up the habit of putting on my shoes and go out, the next one can be to run from one light bulb to another. Roughly 20 meters. Anyone can do that. Anyone can do that. And if I run from 1 to 3 light bulbs, maybe around 60 meters, I am overachieving. For the brain, it feels so good. I am an overachiever now. You build up the confidence to want to do this again. That's all you're doing. It's not about the result right now. It's about finding the inspired feeling. You're tricking your brain here. So you're putting on the shoes. I now can run between 1 and 3. All of a sudden, I want to go to 5. I want to go to 7. And I'm just becoming more and more of an overachiever. Now I feel so good doing this. I have so much confidence doing this. My capacity to ask for more gets greater and greater and greater. But what a lot of people are doing is the opposite. They think that I need to get result right now. Hence, I need to go to the gym 1 hour minimum. Or I need to run at least for 10 kilometers if there is a run. And then they're like, again, hating themselves there. pushing themselves to their like puking, and then they're wondering, why am I not feeling motivated tomorrow to go for a run? Yeah, why are you not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great example with the light bulb. Like literally put on your shoes. And I was just thinking like, without knowing, you'll actually you go run.
Yeah.
Like you go for a run without knowing that you're now going for a run.
You're now a runner. You're a runner.
All of a sudden you're a runner and you feel like you're just the best runner in this world because you started from like 20 meters. That is beautiful. And I think it goes back to, I think it's the kiss, keep it stupid, simple. Or, like just small and simple. Put on the shoes, go out. If that's the whole thing you do for a week, it's fine.
And even if it's for a month.
Or for a month.
Like the only reason why we feel rushed to get somewhere is because we think it's the result that will generate the feeling.
Again.
But again, when you're having the small milestones, you are the one creating the feeling of success. And at the end of the day, what you want is the feeling of success. I'm getting exactly what I want. Plus, I'm having fun. Plus, I'm getting better and better and better. So I'm creating more and more powerful and lasting result.
That's great. So you actually try to find the fun and the joy rather than the result and like the end result. You try to find again like the joy on the journey.
Yeah, and noticing how when you find the joy in the journey, when you are overachieving, you want to do it more, you want to do it more, you want to do it more. Hence, you're more likely to create the result.
Absolutely.
If you're just focusing on getting the result and needing to do the 1 hour right away, you're much more likely to give up and never get the result.
And is there also, because that's like my final thought, but that came to my mind. Is it true that you look different at your body? Let's take the body for the example. When you, you do, but when you feel good, like let's say you ran for 20 meters for like 2 months, you feel super good. You feel like you've done more than you've ever did. If you stand in front of a mirror, you might notice, or you have the feeling of, my legs actually got better. Even though, maybe physically, nothing really happened. And then worse, like vice versa, if you go to the gym, but it's like, it's for you, like you're forcing it and you're hating it. You're likely going to look into the mirror every single day. And even though results are there, because, can't be not there if you force yourself so hard, but maybe you not see them. Like, is there also this feeling of when you feel good, you see the results easier than when you force again?
Yeah, it comes back to that life situation, the detail, your body, and then your emotional life. When your emotional life, when you feel good, you're having kind of like pink glasses, but it's not pink glasses as I am imagining. Your glasses is always what you are interpreting. If I'm feeling good, I interpreting the good stuff. I find the good stuff. I'm focusing on maybe my shoulders I like, or maybe my posture. My hair looks extra beautiful today. When I am not in a good space, I only find flaws. So your emotional life creates the filter that you're interpreting the reality through. So either you find what's good and matching a good feeling, or you find what's off and matching your off feeling.
That's great. That's, again, it goes back to find the feeling. So I would say anybody that hasn't listened to the first episode, listen to this one, because that's like kind of the ground of the feeling and why we want to seek the feeling and not the goal. And then when you try to build new habits, or when you build them and make it easy and fun for you. And don't build habits other people do that seem like the only way. Do it in your own pace. And remember, it can take up to a year.
Or it can go as quickly as one day.
Or it can be tomorrow. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, there is no one right way, but easy and fun is a good one.
That's amazing.
Keep it playful.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wrap it up with a little game again for you. So last time I know I asked like for words and you had to describe them. Now we're gonna do a similar thing, but I'm gonna say like a sentence or like a few words, and you maybe just gonna share with me, because it's like a question for listeners. You're gonna share your thoughts or a tip or a trick.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do 3 questions for them specifically. How can I sense a good feeling?
Well, tapping into your body, knowing what feels good and what doesn't feel good, for some people can be challenging if they have never been connected before. But think about it as you are in the lee mat and you're paddling either upstream or allowing the stream to carry you. So a good feeling feels like ease, a relief. A not so good feeling feels like struggle, paddling against the stream.
Nice. Yes. Okay. What is a sensation and how can I acknowledge it?
A sensation or a feeling or an emotion is just a vibration in your body caused by the way you're thinking, which is caused by where you put your attention. And you will notice, again, are you upstream or downstream? Does it feel like ease or does it feel like a relief? We can say that we only have 2 different feelings. One is a better feeling and one is a worse feeling. And you will be able to tell in this moment, am I feeling better or worse compared to the previous moment? And in this moment, what I do right now will affect how I feel in the next moment. So now is where your power lies and you can always pivot. I can always reach for a better feeling thought, meaning I am where I am and that is okay. That is a downstream thought. I don't need to figure out everything today.
Nice. Then the last question is there a difference between habits and routines? And if yes, what are we actually seeking?
Beautiful question. And yes, there is. A habit is something that you do automatically without even thinking about it. A routine is something that is easy. You do it until it's not a routine. Yeah. I go to the gym until I not go to the gym anymore. A habit is I go into a dark room and I reach for the light switch, even though it's a power breakout. I just go and I still do it 3 times during the power breakout because it is a habit. It's so automated. I don't even think about it. The routine, I still need to motivate myself to do it.
Wow. And do we seek one or the other, or is it both in different areas?
I think a habit can be a routine in the beginning until it has become a habit. Yeah. And the reason why we want to create habits is because the body becomes the brain, which required 20% of the brain capacity. So you free up 80% of your brain capacity, your energy, to do other things. So again, you want to use your smart part of the brain to train your body about what you want to do. You want to use that elephant trainer to train the elephant, but once the elephant is trained, you don't need so much energy anymore. So you want to create habits and knowing that, like you said, it is a process of creating. And that's why it's so important to keep it fun and easy and play with it. Like, know that there is an abundant way of going about it. There is no one right way. The one right way is the one that feels good for you. And the most important thing is that you start small so that you can build the confidence in order to take on more and more and more and more. But really like trusting yourself and meeting yourself where you are.
Amazing.
Yes.
That was a good one in the end with you free up energy space by having a routine.
Yeah.
It just reminded me back of why, like thinking, like imagine we had to think every time we sit in the car and drive, like we had to actually think what we're going to do now. It would be so exhausting.
Yeah.
But actually, we do that on autopilot and we can use that energy towards different things during the day.
Listen to a podcast or think about, how would I like to
Yes.
go about with my day. Yeah.
That's when you do two things, but actually your energy doesn't require those two. It just requires to be present with one. Beautiful. Wow. I mean, I think I could go on with this topic, but it's I guess it's a good wrap up with reflecting on the past year and then building new habits, or reflecting on the past anytime and writing down your successes anytime. Don't wait for the end of the year to change your habits, your routines.
And celebrate. I mean, you all have so much positive that is going on in your life. Celebrate it. Read the success book.
Yes.
That is the story of your life. Beautiful.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Nathalie, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Once again. Yes, it was beautiful talking to you. And I guess we're going to wrap it up, finish it, and then we're going to have some resources probably below the video on building new habits. But yeah, thank you for your time once again. It was lovely to have a conversation with you.
Most welcome. Thank you.
And that wraps up another empowering episode of Inspire and Greatness. I hope you found inspiration, insights, and a renewed sense of purpose during our time together. Remember, growth is a journey and not a destination. If you enjoyed today's conversation or have thoughts to share, connect with us on social media or within the community area. Your feedback means the world to us, and I love hearing from each and every one of you. We have a lineup of exciting topics and incredible guests coming your way, and I can't wait to share these transformative moments with you. Before I log out, always remember, you are capable of incredible things, and your journey is uniquely yours. Cherish the moments of growth, and embrace the beautiful unfolding of your own story. Until next time, this is Demi, signing off from Inspire Greatness. Take care and stay inspired, and keep on growing. I'll catch you in the next episode.